Start talking about buying fractional gold, and undoubtedly you'll hear a barrage of comments about gold premiums and how fractional gold premiums are a waste of money and cost prohibitive. Some of the loudest voices against fractional gold actually come from silver investors, which is incredibly ironic to me, but I'm going to come back to that. We all know premiums are just a part of buying physical metals. Well, my hope is that once this video is over, I'm going to be able to put a smile back on your face when it comes to fractional gold premiums. Take a look at the screen real quick and I'm going to come back to this. While I've always loved Batman, my favorite villain has always been the Joker. And I'm pretty sure that statement says a lot more about me, but we're not going to go there right now. While there clearly are some mental health issues there, I've always loved the Joker because he wasn't fueled by desire for money, ambition, or any of the ordinary bad guy motives. The Joker was about his ideology, and his motivations were very philosophical. He basically loved dancing to the music in his own head. While the Joker is absolutely chaos, he also had a way of framing things. He saw things differently, and that fascinated me. And it fascinates me because I too like to see things differently, as you probably noticed with this channel. That leads me to a great quote, and the quote is, "The real voyage of discovery consists not in seeing new sights, but in looking with new eyes." And I think this is especially important because as investors, we have to see things for the way they really are, not the way we want them to be. And that's really a key component of behavioral finance. It almost demands it from us. This is important because as much as I hate to say this, people tend to not act rationally. Let me show you. Remember those 3 lines I asked you about a few moments ago? Which one of those lines is longer, A, B, or C? Well, I hate to tell you this, they're all the same line. Undoubtedly, someone's going to argue with me in the comments, but I promise you, they are the exact same length. It's just how it's framed. I'll give you another chance. Take a look at these 2 pictures. Which shade of yellow in the center is darker? Yep, you guessed it. They're the exact same color. It just looks different because of the colors they put around it. And this is the kind of trick that our brain plays on us. And this is why it's so important that we have clarity and we learn how to be logical in how we approach our investments and understand the emotions. It's why I spend so much time on this, folks. It's because our brain will do things to us that will make us see things very differently, even though they're not. And so what the 3 lines exercise and the yellow square ultimately reveals is the issue of framing. Not that type of framing, and no, not that type of framing either. I'm talking about framing bias, which is our natural tendency to respond differently simply based on how information is presented to us. This is what so many of you experienced in the last video, Silver Over Gold, is when I framed the 10th ounce gold purchase versus a 10 ounce silver bar premium in the form of a percentage and not a dollar amount. Many of you felt very differently. That's the framing bias in action. I can't tell you how many times I've heard silver buyers say they're just gonna stick with silver because they waste too much money on premiums when they buy fractional gold. This construct or perception really is a result of how the issue of gold premiums has been misrepresented over time to the point that we just don't even question it even more. Before some of your X systems get going, this video is not about whether silver or gold is a better investment. This is about disrupting false narratives that may be holding some of you back, because for years you've heard the loudest voices in the room shout vehemently that fractional gold didn't make sense. Again, to the point that we don't even question it. And like the Joker, I'm here to disrupt ideological and philosophical framings that are holding us back from our goals, especially when they aren't based on accurate information. So for the next few moments, you could just call me the Joker. Oh, come on, man, not the Silver Joker. But quick shout out to Silver Joker. Thank you for being a role model. I love your work, the way you represent. You've held it down for so many years, and I appreciate you creating a space where I could believe it's possible to have a channel about metals based on seeing you, someone who looks like me, doing it. Well, I don't know if you look as good as me, but hey, you know what I mean. Okay, all jokes aside, you have to be a subscriber to his channel. All right, enough of me fanboying. Let's get back to the commonly misheld perception that you're wasting more money on fractional gold. Because when it's all over, again, I want to put that smile back on your face. Wow, that even felt creepy to me too. Okay, here's where the rubber meets the road. You actually spend more money on silver premiums than gold, and I'm going to start to prove this for you because it's about our framing bias. If you're new to Stackers, we talk about this idea of research over me search, and that we use math and numbers to help us guide our decision making. And so before we get into the math, we got to recognize the challenge. The challenge is this: fractional gold has a direct comparison in a 1 ounce gold coin or bar. But silver doesn't really have that equivalent. And I believe that's partly why it's so much easier for people to feel like fractional gold is so much more expensive and such a terrible deal. And so while there technically isn't a direct silver comparison, I'm going to submit to you that we could argue that the gold to silver ratio is that comparison. And so if you think about the 1 ounce coin and the gold and silver ratio as being the equivalent, 93 or 94, whatever the number is now, we're going to go with 93 to 1, then me buying fractional 10th ounce pieces or whatever, or you buying 1 ounce coins, silver coins, or 10 ounce silver bars, that's all variations of fractions that lead up to that ultimate GSR of 93 to 1. And so if you start to think about the gold silver ratio being the equivalent to the 1 ounce gold coin, you can now see that anything you buy smaller than a 93 ounce bar, which doesn't exist, but you know what I mean, is basically a fractional equivalent when you talk about silver. No, it's not ideal, but hey, it works for this argument, and I think we just need to roll with it. So I'm gonna ask you to open your mind and just take this journey with me. We're gonna get into the math, but before we do the math, I'm gonna ask you for a favor. Could you please hit the like button if you truly enjoy this content and are getting value and believe that this channel is worth supporting. Also, I am so very excited to share that one of the newest online dealers, PIMBEX, you've heard me talk about them before, they are now a partner with our channel. And I want to be clear, while they reached out to us and they have chosen to work with us, we also chose to work with them. And that's so important because their approach to being an online dealer is exactly what we talk about in this channel. When you go to their site, you're not going to find a bunch of BS or overpriced silver. Instead, you're going to find a very focused inventory of products which allows them to give you the best pricing possible. And so if you're looking for the Bart Simpson coin, they're probably not the one for you. But if you want to get like the lowest price on a generic round, they beat the lowest price on FineBullionPrices.com. That is what matters to me. That's why I chose to partner with them, and a bunch of other great reasons as well. So if you haven't hit the like button, please hit that like button because you like the content. Hit the like button because you want to support the channel. Hit the like button because you want to show support for our new partner, or just hit the like button to help me do battle with the trolls that are definitely going to come out after they hear about this news. Take a look at this screen, and we'll have to go through this quickly because I don't want to make the video too long, so you may have to pause and rewind. But in a nutshell, I put the spot prices from a few days ago, folks. Sorry, I do these a couple of days in advance because it takes me so long to edit and everything. The cost of gold along the top and the premiums. And if you start with looking at 8-9, you can see the pricing for 1/10 ounce, a 1/4 ounce, half ounce, etc. And that the spot price, the total price, which is the purchase price that I got from PIMBEX. And then to the right, I calculated the pricing for a 1 ounce silver Britannia, a 10 ounce silver bar, and a kilo bar. So you can see the premiums in forms of dollars and a percentage with a 93 GSR. In the green shaded area, you can see very quickly are the premiums on the fractional golds, which is slightly less than what you would pay for silver in general. And columns I, J, and K will show you how bad premiums on silver have become, especially when you think about it in the context of 93 ounces or the GSR or the 1 ounce gold equivalent. Since it's the cleanest to look at, we're just going to look at column I and how much you have to pay to get 93 ounces of silver, $2,160. And that is a $452 premium in dollars, or a 26.5 as a percentage. It's so interesting to me that people are so concerned about paying an extra $230 or 13% premium by purchasing 10 1/10 ounce coins instead of a 1 ounce gold coin. But they won't flinch about paying a 26% premium on a 1 ounce silver coin. I can't think of a better phrase than penny wise and pound foolish. Even if you purchase 9-10 ounce bars, besides being 3 ounces short of the 93 to 1 GSR, you're still paying more in dollars and as a percentage than you do on a 1/10 ounce coin. It's not until you get to kilos that you start to do better than fractional gold. So why don't we ever say to silver stackers, hey, you're wasting your money on coins and 10 ounce bars. You should save up your money and buy kilos and 100 ounce bars only. I mean, if we're so concerned about people wasting money buying fractional gold, how in the world could we be okay with someone paying 26% on a 1 ounce coin? It is simply because that's the only option we have when it comes to 1 ounce coins. And at the same token, maybe 1/10 ounce coins is all that someone can afford to buy every month. If you're one of those anti-fractional gold people and you buy silver, how can you justify buying silver in any amount smaller than a kilo then? It just doesn't make sense to me, at least not when I look at the math. Maybe it's your bias that makes you see fractional gold as a terrible buy, but acceptable when it comes to buying silver. I'm not sure how that works, but that could only be the explanation. Are you okay with the silver premiums because it's just a few bucks here and there, so it doesn't feel as bad, but paying an extra $230 by purchasing 10 1/10 ounce coins is so awful? Is it because it's only a few bucks per ounce, so it doesn't feel as bad, but paying an extra $230 by purchasing 10 1/10 ounce coins feels very different? If it's about premiums, then shouldn't we all be saving up to wait and buy kilos or at least 10 ounce bars? Yes, you spend more money buying fractional gold, but maybe, just maybe, this issue is really about our framing bias and that it has caused us to see these premiums as more negative than they really are. Psychologists call this illusory superiority, which is basically a fancy way of saying that we all have this personal cognitive bias where we think far too highly of our positive qualities, and then we try to pretend that our negative qualities aren't that negative. That also plays itself out when we evaluate the ideas, behaviors, and attitudes of others. Unfortunately, this is just something that we all suffer from, which is why our decisions have to be made based on data, facts, and numbers. Because as humans, we're just irrational. Remember the Dark Knight interrogation scene when the Joker was in custody? After having his head slammed, he tells Batman that you're never supposed to start with the head because the person gets all fuzzy. Well, we also need to shake that fuzz off as well and get it better at the habit of questioning things and not just accepting them because they simply sound right. Framing bias is very real, and we have to retrain our brain if we're going to maximize our investments and guess what, folks? Also our lives. In the counseling world, we talk about it's not about what happens to us as much as the meaning we attach to what happens to us and the takeaways that come from it. When you can control these kind of things and understand that framing matters, it's a lot easier to put a smile on your face, even when you have to pay gold premiums. With that, what is one takeaway from this video? Do you see purchasing fractional gold differently now? What about metals puts a smile on your face? Did you get the length of the lines correct? What about the color of the boxes? You're always my A+ students, so just make sure you always stack smarter and never stop learning.